Part 12. All Heaven's Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 111. 111 Fuse. Chenyuan walked out of the old lady's room. After a night of raging, the ion storm outside had dissipated, and the weather became better again, but the lingering yellow mist in the sky still made people feel depressing. People in Xingfu village also began to come out in twos and threes, and many people gathered around the Hummer Jeep he drove over to Point and Point. Chenyuan walked over and found that the two hell dogs were still lying motionless on the back seat of the Jeep, but then he saw an anesthesia needle stuck in the neck of one of the hell dogs. It looks like someone tried to steal his dog last night. However, it is naturally impossible for mere anesthesia to have any effect on the mutated Cerberus of the T virus. Fortunately, he issued an order in advance so that the Cerberus could not move no matter what, otherwise something might happen. At this time, I heard a noise coming from another direction. A bald man with a tattoo on his left face came over with a kitchen knife and shouted, "Get out of the way. Look at me chopping up these two dogs. Let's all come to the teeth fighting festival. These two dogs belong to me." For this kind of guy, Chenyuan didn't want to be polite at all, and his anger from when he was an undercover agent also came up, and he opened his mouth and scolded, "What the hell are you holding a knife for? What do you mean? What happened to the anesthesia needle on the dog? Are you tired of work?" The bald man had a fierce look on his face. Seeing that Chenyuan was a stranger, he looked around and felt that there were a lot of people on his side, so he stepped forward and shouted angrily, "Cao Nima. Where are you from? When is it your turn to come and play wild?" Before he finished speaking, he was stunned, because a Scorpion Type I assault rifle was already on his forehead. Chenyuan held an assault rifle in one hand, with a terrifying murderous intent in his eyes. He held the gun to the bald head's forehead and walked forward step by step. The bald head could only retreat step by step, and then he slammed his foot and sat down on the ground with a plop. "Where is your village chief? Take me to him," Chenyuan said coldly. He retracted the assault rifle, and then pulled the bolt hard. With a click, a bullet was ejected from the chamber. He caught the bullet and threw it to the bald head. The bald head was already stupefied with fright, and the surrounding villagers who had been onlookers ran away without knowing when. And at this time, the two hellhounds lying on the car also jumped out of the car under Chenyuan's command, and approached the bald head step by step. Their chaotic and dull eyes kept staring at him. The bald head couldn't even straighten his tongue, so he could only keep pointing at a house in front of him, and a stream of heat flowed out from his crotch. Chenyuan ignored him and walked directly past him towards the house. Before he could reach the front of the house, the door opened, and a one-armed middle-aged man came out voluntarily. "I'm the village head, Genyu. May I ask why you came to this remote place?" The village head kept looking at the assault rifle in Chenyuan's hand, and asked carefully. "I'm here to buy things," Chenyuan said bluntly. "There is nothing we can sell you here. As you can see, this place is very poor. Maybe you can go to a larger settlement," Genyu said. Looking behind Chenyuan, the bald man had already disappeared up. So he lowered his voice and said, "You'd better leave. Shili probably went to inform the Black Wolf tribe. I know that this matter is Shili's fault, but..." Chenyuan didn't care, and directly handed him the assault rifle in his hand, and asked, "How about this gun?" Genyu took the gun, checked it over and over for a while, and said with a sigh, "The gun is a good gun, and it is impossible to make such a product without a large industrial assembly line. But you have a gun. I know that you grow food here, and I happen to be short of food, so I plan to use weapons to exchange food with you. How about it?" Chenyuan said. Genyu smiled wryly and said, "You'd better go do business with the Black Wolf tribe. With the quality of this gun, they will definitely pay a high price." Chenyuan looked at him for a while, then said lightly, "I'll be back soon." After finishing speaking, he turned around and left without dragging his feet at all, and the gun was not taken away. He hopped into the jeep, started the engine, and quickly disappeared at the end of the road. At this time, the villagers came out cautiously, and began to ask each other about the origin of that extremely violent guy just now. And the brand new jeep that Chinyan drove, the brand new assault rifle, and the two dogs that didn't even respond to the anesthesia injection became topics of discussion. As the person who took Chinyan in last night and got a magazine from him, Luo Chen naturally made a big splash. This stupid young man didn't have any self-awareness at all, took out the magazine and talked, bragging about how he put Chinyan in order last night. He didn't dare to say anything, and obediently took out the 20 rounds of bullets to seek protection. However, he didn't notice that Shali, who wanted to steal Chinyan's dog, was looking at him fiercely. At noon, humbuzz, there was a strange sound of an engine coming from a distance, and I saw pickup trucks and jeeps full of armed men driving over one after another, directly breaking into Xingfu village. Armed men with fierce expressions, red cloth strips wrapped around their right arms, and armed men with various weapons jumped out of the car. There were more than 30 in number. It's from the Black Wolf tribe. Sitting in the front jeep was an old man with gray beard and hair. Although he looked to be in his 50s, his body was extremely muscular, and his thick beard exploded like a lion's mane. And he was impressively wearing a combat suit with a lightweight bulletproof armor plate, and he looked like a tank. He was the last to get out of the jeep and looked around. The soldiers of the Helang tribe had already captured all the people in Xingfu village, and they stood densely in the small square in the middle. All the villagers looked at them trembling all over, because they also recognized that the person who came was the number 2 figure of the Black Wolf tribe, Pu Bo. Pu Bo stood opposite the villagers, and before he could speak, 2 ferocious Black Wolf tribe soldiers rushed into the crowd and captured Luo Cheng. Shali shouted loudly among the crowd, "Lord Pope! That's him! He took in that outsider last night." At this time, the soldier who grabbed Luo Cheng had already thrown him in front of Pu Bo, and kicked him hard in the stomach. Boom! Luo Cheng was kicked to the point of bending down, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Then a soldier found the magazine Chinyan gave him from him and handed it to Pu Bo. Pope looked at the exquisitely crafted magazine, and took back a few rounds of bullets to check carefully. Then he asked in his incomparably majestic voice, "Where did this man come from?" I don't know, he drove here at night, to avoid the ion storm." Luo Cheng fell to the ground and said with difficulty, "Then you just brought a stranger into your home like this?" Pu Bo said coldly. He gave another wink, and immediately another soldier rushed into the crowd, taking Luo Cheng's grandmother, and the village chief Genyu was caught out. Pu Bo stepped forward, lifted Genyu up, and said coldly, "I am very disappointed in the management of you, the village chief. Do you know that the outsider is a murderer? We have 3. The brother disappeared outside, he must have done it. And you didn't even know that such a murderer came to the village." Because of the ion storm that hit yesterday, everyone hid in the basement, I have no way of knowing, Genyu whispered. Pope suddenly smiled. "If that's the case, you should correct this mistake first. Put these 2 people to death on the spot. You will do it?" He pointed to Luo Cheng and his grandma. "Thanks to Malagas for the reward of 100 starting coins. All Heavens Unlimited Base." Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 112. 112. Old man, do you want to fight? Genyu lay motionless on the ground, while Luo Cheng on the other side was already frightened. He looked at Pu Bo with an unbelievable expression, and murmured, "Why did you kill me? Why did you kill me?" "Because you did something you shouldn't do, boy." Shali grinned grimly at the side, then immediately changed into a flattering expression like a Sichuan opera and said to Pu Bo, "Otherwise, I'll kill them." "You look. Go away. What are you?" A soldier next to him slapped him aside. Luo Cheng looked blankly at the ferocious-looking soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe around him, and at the villagers on the other side who were full of fear and numbness, and suddenly shouted loudly as if he had collapsed, "What's the matter with me? Why did you kill me? What did I do wrong? He broke into my house, did I know he was a murderer? Why didn't you say that outsiders can't be taken in? Why did I have to meet this rule? Why? Why? Ha 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 ha." Pope laughed loudly, "Because you happened to touch it, so you are going to die, understand? You are just unlucky. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha." The surrounding Helang tribe burst out laughing. The villagers in Xingfu village bowed their heads deeply. Such a scene is actually not uncommon here, and they are used to it. "Hurry up." Pubber took out a pistol, pulled the bolt to load it with a click, and threw it in front of Genyu. Genyu picked up the pistol and stood up with no expression on his face, but he didn't know what he was thinking. He slowly raised the gun and pointed it at Luo Cheng. "Village chief. Don't kill me. Don't kill me." Luo Cheng was frightened and begged for mercy loudly. But his grandma had a calm face, just crawled over to hug his head, and stroked it gently. "He did it on purpose," Genyu whispered. "Don't kill me, don't kill me." "He did it on purpose." Genyu turned a deaf ear to the begging for mercy, as if he was talking in his sleep. Boom! There was an explosion from behind, and a pickup truck from the Black Wolf tribe was blown up into the sky. All the soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe were shocked. Pope's eyes instantly became extremely sharp, and he turned his head suddenly. "Enemy attack! Enemy attack!" Helang tribe soldiers yelled and turned their heads to guard. Boom! 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 Explosions sounded continuously, but the accuracy was not very good, but at least the power was there. Continuous explosions exploded at the entrance of the village, and soon another car was hit, and was blown up 2 or 3 meters high with huge flames. Buzz! The sound of the motor sounded, and a Hummer Jeep rushed over at high speed, only to see a person driving while holding a large revolver with the other hand sticking out the window. I saw him pull the trigger suddenly. Boom! The bullet from the pistol finally hit a Black Wolf tribe soldier, and it exploded. Countless chunks of meat and limbs splashed all over the sky. Chenyuan rushed to the entrance of the village, slammed on the brakes, parked the jeep behind a rock, and then threw away the modified M-500 revolver whose barrel was red and temporarily unusable. This kind of high-explosive bullet of the Golden Gunner needs to cool down the barrel after firing about 10 rounds. Although the firepower is powerful, the disadvantages are also obvious. However, he still has good things. Da-da-da-da-da-da. The soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe on the opposite side had already recovered from a series of explosions. The dense bullets were fired towards the head and face, and the rocks in front of the jeep were smashed to pieces. And at this time, Chenyuan had already taken out a big guy from the car. MK-19 automatic grenade launcher. Excitement flashed from the corner of his eyes, and then he decisively pulled the trigger. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. The more powerful and faster explosion instantly covered the entrance of the entire Xingfu village. The extremely powerful firepower immediately overwhelmed the Black Wolf tribe. The villagers screamed and fled in all directions as soon as the firefight started, and they fled back home and into the basement. Only Luo Cheng, his grandmother, and the village chief Genyu were left there. "Bastard! Stabilize me! There is only one humming person on the other side. When he is changing the magazine, rush over and kill him for me." Pubber roared loudly. "Dog! Dog!" Suddenly a soldier screamed. Pope followed the sound and saw dozens of dogs rushing towards him silently. They ran extremely fast, and under the cover of the explosion, they rushed to the front very quickly. Da-da-da-da. The soldiers opened fire immediately, and the dense bullets fired at the group of dogs. However, something terrible happened. Although more than a dozen dogs were hit by bullets in the first wave of attacks, these dogs quickly stood up again. Although their bodies were punched by bullets and blood flowed all over the ground, they were still able to move without being affected at all. Boom! 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 Chun Yuyan, who had replaced the magazine of the MK-19 grenade launcher over there, pulled the trigger again, and the violent explosion pushed back the people of the Black Wolf tribe again. And at this moment, the Cerberus has rushed in. Ah! When these hell dogs rushed into the temporary bunker of the Black Wolf tribe, these people knew what hell is. Cerberus is extremely fast, and is not afraid of bullets at all. No matter how these soldiers resist, it is futile. A Cerberus quickly jumped behind the rock where 3 soldiers were hiding, and the panicked soldiers quickly shot. Da-da-da. A bullet hit the Cerberus, instantly blowing up half of its head, but the Cerberus didn't stop at all. One of them fell to the ground with a swoop, and at the same time, its head was split from the middle. The crack opened, countless fangs grew out at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then the person's head was swallowed in one bite. This is not a dog. What is this? What kind of monster is this? The other 2 soldiers saw the scene and their hearts were broken. They picked up their guns and fired wildly, immediately beating the hellhound and their companions to death. Sieve. But almost at the same time, several hell dogs jumped over. Boom! Boom! The gunshots began to become chaotic, while the screams became more and more loud. Help! Help me! A soldier was struggling to crawl on the ground, and a hellhound was gnawing on his leg. As he continued to crawl forward, the intestines and blood pulled out a blood stain on the ground. Da-da-da-da. A soldier of the Black Wolf tribe shot wildly, and finally beat the 2 hellhounds that rushed over into a pile of wriggling rotten flesh. Before he could catch his breath, the companion who had just been killed by his side suddenly got up, howled and bit him on the neck. The whole scene suddenly collapsed, the dog who couldn't be beaten to death, the companion who came back from the dead, everything stimulated the nerves of the soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe. Finally, without knowing who started it, the rest of the soldiers started to turn around and run. They scrambled towards the car they came in. They wanted to get out of here, out of this hell on earth. But running is impossible. How can 2 legs outrun 4? The Cerberus rushed forward and threw them to the ground one by one, and their sharp teeth began to tear their bodies. Moreover, these hell dogs are still constantly mutating. I only saw a hell dog with a broken mandible tried it, and found that it could no longer eat with its mouth, so its entire upper body was split and mutated into it had a big mouth like a crocodile, and then it bit down amidst the screams of horror from the soldiers. Boom! Pubber knocked a Cerberus flying 5 or 6 meters away with a punch, then picked up his pistol and fired bang 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 to drive the other Cerberus back. He ran towards his jeep. However, within a few steps, a figure flashed in front of him suddenly, and then someone came and kicked him with a whip. Boom! Pubber's burly body was immediately kicked back again, and only then was he able to withstand this powerful attack. He looked at the large piece of armor plate sunken in front of his chest, and then looked forward, his eyes were horrified. I only saw a young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes standing in front of me, staring at me with a playful look, and said with a grinning smile, "Old man, do you want to fight? Thank you for the 10,000 starting point coin rewarded by the assimilation fighter. Thank you for the 1,000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thank you for saying that it was the 900 starting point coins rewarded by Huia 1605100659144481. Thank you for the 100 starting point coins rewarded by Burning Shadow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heaven's Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 113. 113 I protect you. These dogs belong to you. Seeing the horrible scene of blood and flesh around him, Pu Bo's anger instantly reached full point, and he rushed towards Chen Yuyan with a roar, "Then you die." There was excitement in Chen Yuyan's eyes. He was planning to experience the secondary muscle explosive strength in exchange for 5,000 bonus points and 50 grams of T-virus. He clenched his fists tightly, and there was a crackling sound from his knuckles, and then a flash of light flashed from the corner of his eyes, and he shot like lightning. Boom! Chen Yuyan's fist came first, and he collided with Pu Bo without fancy. Chen Yuyan only felt that the moment he punched, the muscles in his arm tightened like a spring, and then bounced back like a bullet. At the same time, his heart was also beating violently, sending a large amount of blood to his arm like a high-power water pump. The strengthening of muscle explosive power is not only the strengthening of the main muscle groups of the human body, but also the strengthening of the myocardial fibers in the heart. It can be said to be a comprehensive improvement. More importantly, the strengthening of his explosive power will make his muscles more elastic. In other words, the speed of his movements will become faster. Boom! Click! With a crisp sound, the phalanges in Puber's hand were shattered inch by inch, and his fist was twisted into a strange angle. He backed away with a scream. Before Pu Bo could stabilize his figure, Chen Yuyan's feet exploded with a bang, taking him out like a bullet. Before Pu Bo took 2 steps back, Chen Yuyan's fist had already landed on his chest. Puff! Puber spat out a big mouthful of blood, and he flew upside down like a kite with a broken string, fell to the ground and struggled but couldn't get up. At this time, a hellhound with a ferocious face, whose entire face was smashed, bloody, and one eyeball still hanging outside, came over, but it didn't bite his throat, but stepped on his chest. Pope looked around. The battle was over, and now only 4 of the more than 30 soldiers he brought were left, and they were already frightened and had a nervous breakdown. The hellhounds had stopped attacking, and they were gnawing in front of the corpses in 2s and 3s, mainly chewing the heads of the corpses. In the battle just now, only about 8 hellhounds were actually killed. The Cerberus, whose whole body split and mutated into a huge crocodile mouth, wrapped the entire upper body of a corpse in its mouth and wriggled continuously, blood gurgling down like a stream, spilling all over the ground. After Chen Yuyan knocked Pu Bo flying with his fist, he ignored him, just took out his pistol, shot 1 headshot and killed those zombies who were infected by the T-virus and stood up again. Then he walked up to the village head, Gan Yu, and looked down at him. Next to him, Luo Cheng and his grandma hugged each other and shivered. No matter how stupid this guy is, he should understand that he was able to save his life last night. He really had to thank his grandma. And Shali didn't die. Chen Yuyan didn't let the hellhound attack him. Now he was also frightened by this bloody scene. Half of his souls flew away, feces and urine flowed, and he could smell a stench just by getting close. You did it on purpose." Gan Yu looked at Chen Yuyan and said in a low voice, "You know that Shali will report to the Black Wolf tribe, and you know that they will definitely come. Because you have killed him before. The 3 of them are gone." Chen Yuyan smiled slightly. "Then why did you come to us? We are just a group of farmers. You have enmity with the Black Wolf tribe, go and kill them. I know where they are. But why did you come to us?" Gan Yu said. The voice became louder, almost hysterically yelling at Chen Yuyan. Chen Yuyan didn't answer his question, but said lightly, "Go and call all the villagers out. If you can't come out, let the dog bark." After finishing speaking, 2 hell dogs stood behind Gan Yu. Gan Yu looked at the 2 blood-soaked hellhounds. One of them had a big hole in its stomach, and its stinky viscera and intestines were dragging on the ground. His face turned pale again. But he still stood up and went to call someone with hobbled steps. When the villagers came out again, what caught their eyes was such a bloody and terrifying scene. Incomplete corpses, devil-like hell dogs, flesh and blood stumps all over the ground, many people just vomited it out. At this time, Chunyuan had already driven the Hummer Jeep over and parked in front of them. He stood on the hood, looked at these villagers, and looked around. Everyone lowered their heads and dared not look at him. Then he said loudly, "Remember my name, Chunyuan. Starting today, Xingfu village, I'm covered." Everyone didn't dare to speak, just lowered their heads. Chunyuan didn't care at all, and continued, "Unlike the Black Wolf tribe, I will protect you." As he spoke, he kicked open the door of the Hummer Jeep, revealing a large number of firearms he had piled inside. All of them are Scorpion Eye assault rifles, and there are several large boxes of bullets. Everyone was motionless, just bowed their heads, not saying a word. This was all in Chunyuan's expectation. He picked up an assault rifle, walked up to Luo Cheng, held the muzzle of the gun and handed it to him directly, saying, "Do you want this gun?" Luo Cheng didn't dare to answer. Chunyuan dropped the gun, helped the old lady to one side and sat down, then walked to the other side, dragged up a soldier from the Black Wolf tribe who gave up resistance, handed him a dagger, pointed at Luo Cheng and said, "You kill me. If you leave him, I will let you go." The soldier was still trembling all over. He looked at the terrifying hellhound around him, and then at Luo Cheng who was shivering and didn't dare to pick up the gun in front of him. A ferocious look flashed in his eyes, and he clenched the dagger tightly. Walked towards Luo Cheng step by step. Seeing the soldiers approaching step by step, Luo Cheng's face turned pale, he was trembling all over, and wanted to reach out for the gun several times, but he couldn't hold it steadily. Seeing his appearance, the soldier felt relieved a lot. He approached and said, "Don't blame me. I can only live if you die. Look at your useless appearance. Why don't you let me kill you? Good luck in the future." Luo Cheng was covered in cold sweat and kept taking deep breaths. He is just a coward, he only knows how to bully the weak and fear the strong in the village all day long, but he is so useless that there are not many soft persimmons he can bully in the village. He can only imagine that one day he will be favored by the Black Wolf tribe. With this big backer, he will not be afraid of anyone. However, the facts before him were completely different. Someone is willing to cover him. This man with a pack of undead, devil-like dogs. But he wanted him to kill someone. Kill in person? No. Since you are covering me, shouldn't you help me get rid of this person? Why do you want him to kill me? There was despair in Luo Cheng's eyes. The soldier was less than 3 meters away from him, and the cold light of the dagger was shaking in front of his eyes. At this moment, Luo Cheng suddenly broke down and shouted. He grabbed the assault rifle from the ground and pulled the trigger amidst the soldier's terrified expression. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. A long tongue of flame spewed out from the muzzle of the gun, and a magazine full of 20 bullets poured out within seconds, all hitting the soldier. Wow! Luo Cheng roared loudly as if venting. He rushed to the soldier's corpse, roared loudly at the mutilated corpse, raised his assault rifle and smashed the corpse's head desperately. Very good, next one. Who else wants a gun? Chunyuan looked at the villagers and said with a smile. You, didn't you say you wanted to protect us? Said the village chief Genyu. Yes, I will protect you. So, I will give you weapons. Chunyuan replied. I want a gun. I want to hang out with you. Shali over there raised his hand and said loudly. Chunyuan looked back at him, don't you want to eat dog meat? No. I dare not. I dare not. I will be your dog from now on. Let me follow you. Shali said loudly. The smile on Chunyuan's face was a bit weird. He walked up to Shali and spread his hands. What was handed over to him was a dagger. And with a hook on his foot, an assault rifle was kicked in front of the village chief. Thank you for the reward of 1000 starting coins from the dead. Thanks to Malagas, I have a glass of wine to comfort the 100 starting point coins rewarded by Feng Chen. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jing De Ren. Chapter 114. 114 New Mission. Da. There was a crisp gunshot, and Shali fell into a pool of blood. Chen Yuyan looked at the villagers again. This time he didn't say anything more, he just randomly ordered 4 strong people, each of them issued a set of protective clothing, and asked them to load the corpses all over the ground into 2 pickup trucks car. In the world of Resident Evil, Chen Yuyan scanned a lot of things, and now the infinite base finally looks like an infinite base. The manufacturing center can now build a lot of things, and this kind of protective clothing is specially used by the staff of Umbrella Company to deal with biochemical waste. Although it felt a little strange, these villagers still did as they did, throwing all the corpses on the pickup truck, including the corpse of the Cerberus, not even the scattered stumps and blood-stained soil. While they were busy, Chen Yuyan came to Pu Bo, looked down at the old man sitting on the ground and asked, "Should I kill you?" Pu Bo laughed wildly, "Kill? Why are you talking so much nonsense? How can I not know your thoughts? You want to arm the people of Xingfu village to fight against us? Ha 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 ha. What a joke. A flock of sheep, can you fight against a pack of wolves? Ha 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 ha. Those guys are not as good as these dogs." Chen Yuyan pretended to think for a while, and said, "You are right, they are just a flock of sheep. So if you want to fight against wolves, it is better not to have 2 powerful people on the wolf side. I think you are very powerful. So I'm sorry, all right, let me change the messenger." After finishing speaking, he shot through his heart without saying a word, then pulled out his favorite Gurkha saber and threw it to Luo Cheng, saying, "Chop off his head." Luo Cheng's eyes were red now, and he was on the verge of madness. He heard Chen Yuyan's order, stepped forward, and stabbed him. 2 knives. 3 swords. He didn't have much strength, and it took several blows to chop off Pu Bo's big head. Then he walked up to Chen Yuyan with his head, and opened his mouth to show a crazy smile. "Hey, the head is chopped off." Chen Yuyan kicked Pu Bo's head in front of the 3 Black Wolf tribe soldiers who gave up resistance and said, "Bring this head to your boss and tell him that Xingfu village is now my territory." A soldier tremblingly said, This, Pubber is a veteran who has been with Chi Wei since his father's time. Give Chi Wei his head, he will fight you desperately." "Desperate, that's great. I want to fight him too hard." Chen Yuyan laughed heartlessly. He pointed to a pickup truck and said, "Go, return this car to you." 2 of the 3 soldiers still drove away, but the other one refused to leave, and must follow Chen Yuyan. After asking, he found out that this man was called Wang Ji. He used to be from Xingfu village, but he was very agile. He was selected to join the Black Wolf tribe, and he has lived a life of exploiting the villagers ever since. It doesn't matter to Chen Yuyan, Wang Ji has touched a lot of guns and killed people, so it's not bad for such a person to stay in Xingfu village and be a leader. Anyway, now he just needs people on his side, and whether it is good or not is never something he considers. He was alone before, and it was enough to have someone available. This kind of simple and crude expansion used to happen almost every day in the underworld mergers in the small countries in Southeast Asia. Chen Yuyan naturally knew exactly what he should do. After roughly asking Wang Ji about the current military strength and equipment of the Black Wolf tribe, Chen Yuyan jumped on his Hummer Jeep and was about to leave. Wang Ji and Luo Cheng wanted to follow, but he refused. At this time, the village chief Genyu said loudly, "Wait a minute. Did you just leave like this? Otherwise?" Chen Yuyan asked knowingly. "The Black Wolf tribe controls our power supply, they will definitely cut off the power supply. Moreover, Chi Wei will definitely not let it go when he sees you killing Pu Bo. He will come and kill us all." Genyu almost it was roaring. I will protect you. Look, I gave you weapons. Chen Yuyan pointed to the guns piled on the ground. He brought a total of 40 Scorpion I assault rifles, a Mk-19 automatic grenade launcher, 5,000 rounds of 9mm rifle bullets and 200 rounds of 40mm grenades. Even if we have weapons, can we defeat the Black Wolf tribe? Gan Yu roared. Try hard, maybe you can. Chen Yuyan replied with a smile. What's the difference between you doing this and the Black Wolf tribe? Gan Yu asked loudly. Chen Yuyan tilted his head and thought for a while, then replied, there is not much difference, but I am much stronger than the Black Wolf tribe, and, there was a smile on his face like a weasel greeting a chicken, maybe I will better for you. After speaking, he started the engine and prepared to leave. We decided to follow you. But, we need help. Gan Yu finally gave up, he shouted loudly. Help you guys for what? Chen Yuyan continued to ask knowingly. Help us, Gan Yu gritted his teeth, and a sentence popped out between his teeth, help us to kill the Black Wolf tribe. Ha 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 ha. Chen Yuyan burst out laughing now, he jumped out of the car, took 2 metal boxes from the car and put them in front of Gan Yu. This is a military ultra-shortwave radio station, the communication range is within this weather. It's hard to say in the environment, but it's no problem to contact me. I will bring you more equipment. Gan Yu's face looked better now, and he asked again, can a group of sheep really fight against a group of wolves? A group of sheep wearing armor and holding AK-47, yes, of course. Chen Yuyan left the sentence, and he left the remaining 20 or so hellhounds guarding outside the village, and then found the individual drives 3 pickup trucks full of dead bodies and body parts towards Infinity Base. Mission 1 release, bring Xingfu village under control. Task reward, 5 tons of tiberium crystals. Task 2 released, eliminate the Black Wolf tribe. Task reward, Protector type vigilance robot technology. Mission 3 release, increase the number of people you control to 1,000. Task reward, a random light weapon production line technology. The sound of the system also followed, and 3 tasks were released in a row. Chen Yuyan suddenly felt a surge of excitement in his heart. As long as he completes the tasks of these people, his manufacturing center can be directly upgraded to level 2 without a doubt. And at the level 2 manufacturing center you can not only build primary electromagnetic guns, but also M41A1 pulse rifles. Not to mention the benefits of eliminating the Black Wolf tribe, whether it is a tiberium mine power station, a tiberium mine refinery factory, or the tiberium mining area controlled by the Black Wolf tribe, you can let his base develop rapidly. Therefore, the next step is to deal with the next full-scale attack of the Black Wolf tribe. Chen Yuyan didn't want to directly summon the Wolf Pack team yet. How could he use a sledgehammer to deal with a small tribe with 200 people, and it was almost certainly a small tribe far away from the main civilized area of the world, so there was no need to use the Wolf Pack team at all. The main thing is that he still feels sorry for the reward points. It would be great if there are enough points. In this case, Chen Yuyan really doesn't mind letting that Qi Wei know what it means to be a wolf. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 115. 115 Qi Wei. On the outskirts of the ruins of the city, the Tiberium Mine Refinery Factory. The factory was completely protected by a wall, surrounded by 4 sentry towers. The searchlights on them were constantly sweeping around, and fully armed soldiers were patrolling around with weapons. Red cloth strips were wrapped around the arms of these soldiers. They were all members of the Black Wolf tribe. On the other side of the refining plant, there are 3 cylindrical buildings with a height of 7 to 8 meters. These 3 buildings are all made of metal, with a red mark sprayed on them, but these marks have been painted off hastily. Only vaguely recognizable was the mark of a scorpion's tail. Behind the building, there are several containers filled with liquid tiberium. Inside, there is a small reactor that triggers the positron stripping reaction of the liquid tiberium to release a huge amount of energy to generate electricity. In fact, this is also one of the wide-ranging uses of tiberium mines. In the words of scientist Mobius, tiberium mines have infinite possibilities. Next to the power station is a barracks. There are more than a dozen vehicles parked in the square, including jeeps, trucks, and even an armored infantry fighting vehicle. But in one of the three-story buildings, there were bursts of dull beating sounds. All I saw was that the two soldiers who were sent back by Chen Yuyan fell to the ground, surrounded by several big men, and beat them to death. The sound of beatings and screams mixed together. Those two people had been beaten so badly that they were bruised all over and fell to the ground out of breath. What I want to know is, why did Pope and the others all die outside, but only you two bastards came back? A ferocious red light flashed in the shadow of the light, and a devil-like voice came. It's none of my business. That man, he has a dog. A dog that can't be beaten to death. A person lay on the ground crying and yelling. Dogs? You mean you were killed by a group of dogs? Are you looking down on Papa Pubber? Another burly and muscular bald man next to him shouted sharply. You'd better tell the truth, otherwise, I will give you a taste of the feeling that life is worse than death. The man in the shadow said slowly. I really don't know. The two soldiers who came back to report the report cried bitterly on the ground. That man's name is Chen Yuyan, and he drove a brand new jeep and a grenade launcher. He brought dozens of dogs. Those dogs can't even be killed by bullets. Then, wow, before the soldier finished speaking, the thug next to him kicked him in the stomach again. Boom, 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 boom. A huge figure stepped out from the shadow of the lamp, and the fallen soldiers looked at him with endless fear on their faces. I only saw that this was a big man with a height of more than 2 meters. Just looking at the muscles on his body that were like pieces of stone, he was already a terrifying killing machine. And what is even more frightening is that many parts of his body have been mechanized, almost half a robot. A chip was implanted in this person's head, armor was embedded in his forehead, and his left eye had been replaced with a mechanical eye, and a red light shot out from the mechanical eye. And his entire left hand and even his left chest have been mechanized, and a 6-barreled machine gun is impressively installed on his left arm. He is the leader of the Black Wolf tribe, Chi Wei. The armor installed on his chest is made into a ferocious wolf head. Just looking at it is enough to make people feel frightened. This is also his symbol. So, this man called Chen Yuyan wiped out Papa Puebo's team by himself? Maybe he also has a group of biochemically modified dogs? Chi Wei asked, speaking very slowly. But the sound was extremely dull, as if it was beating a drum. The two soldiers didn't even dare to look at him, and wept with their heads lowered. Those dogs can still stand up and bite people after being beaten to pieces by bullets, and they can still bite people with their heads split open when their mouths are knocked out, and that Chen Yuyan, he knocked Puebo's father to the ground with 2 punches. He also said. What else did he say? A fierce light flashed in Chi Wei's eyes. He also said that Xingfu village will belong to him from today, a soldier whispered. Bastard! Bastard! Chi Wei roared angrily. He stepped forward and kicked one of the soldiers, immediately kicking the big adult 5 or 6 meters away like a ball. It hit the wall with a bang, blood spurted wildly, and soon there was no sound. He walked towards another soldier, like a furious brown bear. You bunch of trash! Boom! Another kick. This time he kicked the soldier out of the window directly. Boss, a person next to him came over and said cautiously, that Chen Yuyan has biochemically modified dogs, a brand new jeep, and a grenade launcher. I'm afraid he has a lot of background. These things, no, a big city with a factory can't do it. Also, if he can really knock down Papa Pubber with 2 punches, do you think he is one of the Legion commanders under Kane before? Don't talk to me about leaders and not leaders. Kane is dead. Dead. Now the Nod matter has nothing to do with me. I don't want to work for them anymore, I go to fight GDI and die. What Legion commander? That Chun Yuyan is a loner. Have you ever seen such a miserable Legion commander? Chi Wei suddenly became furious. He walked to the table with heavy steps, looked at Pope's head on the table, and said through gritted teeth, 20 years ago. It was my old man and Pope who led everyone out of Nod. We have started a new life. If it weren't for them, we would have been sent to the front line by Kane to fight against GDI's tanks and mechas. Can we still drink and play with women here? Huh. There was a red light in his mechanical prosthetic eye. Now, this Chun Yuyan dared to ride on our heads and shit on us when he came alone. He dared to say that Xingfu village belonged to him. Dreaming. Leaving 2-team defense, others, follow me. Bloodbath Xingfu village. Roar. Kill them all. The captains and soldiers around suddenly became passionate and howled loudly. Hundreds of Black Wolf tribe soldiers ran out of the barracks one after another, put on their clothes and picked up their weapons. Hum. Hum. The engines of jeeps and pickup trucks were fired, and 12.7 mm heavy machine guns were mounted on the vehicle's gun mounts. Chi Wei climbed onto the infantry fighting vehicle, waved the 6-barreled machine gun on his modified arm, and roared loudly, "Kill it! No one will be left." More than 20 cars formed a long convoy, and drove towards the Xingfu village quickly. Thanks for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by Star Sea Rangers and Star Legacy. Thanks to Silver Dragon Cavalry and Book Friend 201612292343390008 for the reward of 500 starting coins. Thanks to Malagus for the reward of 100 starting coins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 116. 116 The Beginning of War. After driving towards his base for a while, after entering the control area of the base, Chun Yuyan first asked the 2 villagers who drove him to park the pickup truck full of dead bodies on the side of the road, and then knocked them unconscious with one punch. System. Start collecting. Chun Yuyan said silently, and put his hands on the corpses. All I saw was a blue light covering the corpses. These corpses gradually melted away, and the biomass resources of the base also gradually increased. Even the blood-stained soil was absorbed by the collection function of the base and turned into some biomass and some stone materials. What surprised Chun Yuyan was that some tiberium crystal resources were collected from the corpses of some Black Wolf tribe soldiers. He asked a question, and the answer he got from the system was that some of these corpses had already been corroded by tiberium crystals. In addition, the infected T-virus would also be used as tiberium crystal resources after being recovered. Looking at the current resource stock in the base, these more than 30 corpses and 8 recycled Cerberus corpses brought him a total of 3 tons of biomass and 5 kilograms of tiberium crystals. The biomass in stock now allows him to continue to produce Cerberus. During the time he was away, the 3 Cerberus production lines were running non-stop, producing Cerberus at a rate of 3 per hour. The more than 30 Cerberus he brought over to wipe out the Pubber team before were yielded overnight. And now near the base, 15 newly produced Cerberus are also ready to go. As for the manufacturing center, it is constantly producing all kinds of weapons and equipment. Now the biggest constraint on its resources is tiberium crystals, but the production of guns and ammunition mainly requires metal, and only a small amount of tiberium crystals need to be converted into other substances. Will suffice. The worker ant drones are still collecting tiberium crystals. Now in the ruins of the hotel building above the base, there is no crystal left. The collection range of the drones has begun to expand to the surrounding areas. It also increases the risk of exposure. Chun Yuyan did not continue to increase the worker ant drone factory, because his strength is not enough now. Looking at the inventory, the stock of tiberium crystals has increased to 2.9 tons, which is the amount that has been accumulated for almost a whole day. So he decisively began to develop technology. Consume 1 ton of tiberium crystals to research mutant leech technology. Time 1 hour. Technical mutated leeches have been developed, and now the infinite base can build mutated leech cultivation pools. Consume 1.5 tons of tiberium crystals to research mutant crow technology. Time 1.5 hours. Technical mutant crow has been developed, and now the infinite base can build a mutant crow production line. When I got here, I had to stop because of resource problems. To unlock the technology of the liquor, we must first study the mutant leech. After unlocking the mutant bat and the mutant crow, we have to research both technologies before the liquor will appear. Mutated leeches. Build time, 5 seconds/auto breed. Construction resources, 50 g of biomass, 5 g of tiberium crystals/auto breeding is free, and one will be added every 5 minutes. Function, in addition to counting on it to bite people in the water, each leech can also be used to replace 50 g of biomass to build the T-virus series BOW. The body strength and mutation degree of B.O.W made with mutated leeches will increase. Mutated crow. Build time, 10 minutes. Construction resources, 500 g biomass, 30 g tiberium crystal. Function, almost no IQ, can't be used for reconnaissance, can only be used to harass the enemy and spread T-virus. Chenyuyan thought for a while, and built 2 production lines for mutated crows in 2 hours. The production line of these B.O.Ws is said to be a production line, but it is actually the size of a laboratory and does not take up too much space. The production line of mutant crows is equivalent to the size of a bedroom. After that, Chenyuyan woke up the 2 villagers who had been knocked unconscious by him, and asked them to carry all kinds of weapons and equipment produced by the manufacturing center into the car during this period. When the 2 confused villagers opened their eyes and saw the mountains of weapons in the loading and unloading platform, their eyeballs almost rolled down. They have never seen such a large number in their life, and they are all brand new weapons. Most of the weapons that Chenyuyan scanned in the world of Resident Evil are only products of the 1990s, and there is a complete generation gap with the current era of 2030. For example, the performance and bullet speed of the Scorpion I assault rifle are at least 2 grades higher than the assault rifles he can touch. However, the only weapon he has come into contact with in this world is the Scorpion Type I assault rifle, and other advanced weapons are simply out of reach, so he can only make do with it. Fortunately, as far as weapons are concerned, it's good if they can kill people. This little generation difference will not affect the battle with the Black Wolf tribe. After all, the other party is just a pile of garbage. Scorpion I assault rifle, RPG-7 anti-tank rocket launcher, M67 grenade, M249 squad light machine gun, MK-19 automatic grenade launcher, modified M-500 revolver and matching golden gunner high explosive bullets, each all kinds of weapons greatly enriched Chenyuyan's arsenal, and he also made a few M19 anti-tank mines on a whim. It takes about 2 hours to drive from the base of the Black Wolf tribe to Xingfu village, and it only takes about 40 minutes to reach Xingfu village from Infinite Base. Blindfolded, the villagers drove a newly produced truck towards Xingfu village. The mighty convoy of the Black Wolf tribe was driving on the road. Every soldier in the convoy had a cruel and murderous expression on their faces. They had been calm for too long. In this place far away from civilized society, the only function of the weapons in their hands is to frighten the 2 or 3 unarmed small settlements around them, but they can't kill too many of them, because the population is the most precious resource in this apocalypse. Now, they finally seized an opportunity to kill. How could they not be excited? There are 3,400 villagers in Xingfu village. If they are all killed, each of them can kill at least 2 or 3 villagers. What a joy it is! Chi Wei stood on the turret of the infantry fighting vehicle, his face also full of ferocity. His infantry fighting vehicle is an old-fashioned BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle with a 73mm caliber low-pressure smoothbore gun. Although this type of infantry fighting vehicle is not even considered as cannon fodder on the battlefield with GDI, for a place like Xingfu village say, that is the firepower that makes people desperate. And he confirmed again and again that the only variable in the other party was Chen Yuyan. How many weapons and equipment can he bring with him alone and in a car? At most it is the group of dogs that cannot be beaten to death. No matter how hard those dogs can't be beaten to death, they can't bite people anymore after being beaten into a pile of rotten meat, right? And, dear Papa Pope is dead. This is the benefactor who watched him grow up since he was a child, and in the battle with GDI, he sacrificed his life to rescue him who was seriously injured all over his body. The whole happy village must come to be buried with Pope. As for the people in Xingfu village being killed, who will farm and produce food is not something he needs to consider. Big deal, fight the Junkrat gang on the other side of the ruins of the city and grab some population territory. Just as Chi Wei was thinking with a ferocious face, a sudden change occurred. Boom! With a loud bang, the pickup truck driving in the front was instantly blasted into the sky by the explosion. The violent explosion also overturned a pickup truck behind, and the soldiers on it were blown away by the huge air wave. The convoy stopped immediately, and Chi Wei roared angrily, "Go and see what happened." "Boss, boss. It's a landmine." A soldier ran over and said. "Landmines?" Chi Wei's expression changed, he jumped off the infantry fighting vehicle and came to the front, bypassing the burning pickup truck and the scattered limbs on the ground, he saw a few circles thrown casually on the road ahead. Shaped box. Undoubtedly, the opponent throws these landmines just by chance. It is best if they can blow up people, and it doesn't matter if they don't. Chi Wei roared angrily, "A bunch of trash. Don't you have eyes when driving? You can't even see the landmines on the ground. Trash. Throw those mines aside for me." A few soldiers walked over tremblingly, picked up the landmines, and threw them on the side of the road. This kind of anti-tank mines would not detonate for this reason. After repeatedly confirming that there were no more traps on the road, the convoy bypassed the wreckage of the pickup truck and continued on its way. But now, in Chi Wei's heart, there is an inexplicable shadow. Thank you for the reward of 1,000 starting coins from the dead. Thanks to the book friend 1605100659144481 for the reward of 500 starting coins. Thank you Tees fans for the reward of 100 starting coins. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 117. 117 Fear of Insufficient Firepower. When the convoy of the Black Wolf tribe came to the front of Xingfu village, the whole village was silent, and no one could be seen. "Boss! They must have run away. Ha 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 ha." A Black Wolf tribe soldier turned around and said obsequiously to Chi Wei. Chi Wei snorted coldly, waved his hand and said loudly, "Blow me up. Plow Xingfu village to the ground." As soon as he gave an order, the BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle under him began to adjust the direction of the turret, aiming at one of the houses, and the shells were loaded. Boom! The 73mm caliber low-pressure smoothbore gun fired a high-explosive bomb, and the violent explosion was set off in an instant, blowing the front wall of this residential building to pieces. Then the soldiers in the car behind started to jump out one by one, and the pickup truck that got off the man began to move forward, and the 12.7mm heavy machine gun mounted on the gun rack fired violently at the village. Ha 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 ha. The Helang tribe soldier manipulating the heavy machine gun laughed loudly while shooting. This kind of unlimited random shooting is really cool. However, before he was happy for a few seconds, suddenly his whole body was shot by a large ball of yellow-green liquid. The viscous liquid smeared all over his face. Almost at the same time, his skin was corroded, leaving traces of smoke, accompanied by a stench. Ah! The soldier screamed loudly. He raised his hand to wipe off the strong corrosive mucus on his face, but when he wiped it off, he even tore off his own face. In there! Hit! Chi Wei shouted, pointing at a residential building. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Countless bullets were immediately fired towards the residential buildings, and the fragile walls were smashed to pieces by countless bullets. Soon the firepower of the 12.7 mm heavy machine guns on several other pickup trucks also joined in, and the large caliber bullets, the penetrating power is stronger. Hiss! There was a terrible roar from inside. Immediately afterwards, I saw a huge figure crawling out of the gunpowder smoke. Even if all the adjectives accumulated by Chi Wei and other Black Wolf tribe soldiers have been accumulated in their lifetime, they cannot describe this terrible monster. It was on all fours, its body was covered with tentacles, the ribs on its chest exploded from the inside out, and the bones protruded to form a terrifying mouth, and its back was covered with disgusting yellow-green pustules. It is a tracker. What kind of monster is this? A soldier exclaimed loudly. I only saw several pustules on the tracker's back suddenly swell up at the same time, and then shrank suddenly. Several balls of yellow-green viscous liquid shot out. Snapped! 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 Another soldier was hit, and he fell to the ground screaming. Some slime hit the car, and the car's shell was immediately corroded and a big hole was formed. Amidst the terrified expressions of everyone, the tracker quickly crawled towards the side. As it crawled, it sprayed corrosive mucus continuously, and the tentacles on its body ejected from time to time, stretching more than 10 meters in an instant, and the sharp tentacles could even pierce the human body with ease. One of the most important reasons why Chen Yuyan spent a lot of money to bring out the stalker is that he discovered that the stalker can attack from a long distance. This characteristic is useful even on the frontal battlefield. Get rid of it for me! Chi Wei roared. He raised his left hand, and the 6-barreled machine gun installed on it began to warm up and rotate, and then he heard a sound like logging, and countless bullets shoot from the ever-rotating muzzle. It's like a rainstorm of steel. At the same time, the main gun of the BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle has been reloaded again, and it is aimed at the tracker with one shot. The powerful firepower made the tracker scream again and again, and he was completely powerless to fight back. And at this moment, a rocket was suddenly launched with a long tail of smoke, hitting a pickup truck next to it. Boom! Someone! It's a bazooka! The soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe yelled, and the pickup trucks that had been parked at the entrance of the village and fired wildly started up again and drove into the village. But the attack was not over yet. A large number of hell dogs ran out from all directions in the village. Most of these hellhounds have experienced the last battle with Pubber's team, and their bodies are extremely tattered and terrifying. However, the Black Wolf tribe had already prepared for the Cerberus, and they immediately poured intensive firepower over it. Although those tattered hellhounds looked even more terrifying, after all, their body structure was also damaged, and a large piece fell down immediately under the intensive shooting of more than 100 people. But what is even more frightening is yet to come. Boom! 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 The continuous explosion sounded, and it didn't stop for almost a moment. A pickup truck rushing to the front was the first to bear the brunt and was directly overturned by several consecutive explosions. Chen Yuyan came out with an RPG-7 anti-tank rocket launcher, skillfully loaded the rocket, aimed at the most conspicuous BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle in the convoy, and pulled the trigger. Phew, boom! Naturally, his aim was skewed, but it exploded in the open space, and several soldiers from the Black Wolf tribe who had just gotten out of the car and were rushing in were blown away by the explosion. Behind him, more than a dozen villagers held modified M-500 revolvers and kept shooting at the Helang tribe. To say that the high explosive bullets of the Golden Gunner in domestic Lingling paint is really an excellent thing. It is difficult for those villagers to learn to use the RPG-7 rocket launcher in just 1 or 2 hours, but these most of the villagers know how to handjob. And the high explosive bullets of the Golden Gunner are the ones that can make the pistol unleash the power of a small bazooka. Chen Yuyan is now more and more grateful to the experimenter who worked with the invading American Delta Force during the process of following the U.S.S to capture William Birkin. Speaking of which, that guy is quite handsome, and the system reminded him of his name when he was killed, but he has forgotten it. After all, in the world of Resident Evil, he killed 80 or 100 experimenters. Boom. 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 These more than a dozen villagers each had a modified M-500 revolver. They kept firing high explosive bullets. The continuous explosions blasted the Helang tribe to the ground, and they couldn't even raise their heads. The BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle turned its muzzle and fired again. Boom. A cannonball collapsed a building and buried 2 nearby villagers alive in it. But in the depths of the village came out more villagers. Some of them would use rocket launchers to hold RPG-7 rocket launchers and shoot at BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicles, while other villagers started to run over and use M249 squad in some places. When the machine gun is set up, no matter what is in front of it, it will fire desperately. There were even 2 teams of 3-person groups of villagers who set up an MK-19 automatic grenade launcher. Boom. 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 Da-da-da-da-da-da. The sound of explosions and gunshots did not stop for a minute. The villagers who rushed over were no more than 50 people, but the firepower they were equipped with was insane. The villagers in Xingfu village are all a group of sheep, which is true, but there is a M249 sheep next to a rocket launcher, so how do you fight the Black Wolf tribe? Chi Wei jumped off the BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle when he saw that the opponent had a rocket launcher. He had also been on the battlefield to some extent, although it was 20 years ago. Boom. Boom. The explosions continued non-stop, and even the infantry fighting vehicles were bombed several times. However, the high explosive bullets of the Golden Gunners are not effective against armored units and cannot penetrate the armor. However, the continuous explosions also make it impossible for the infantry fighting vehicles to aim at all, so they can only fire at the front indiscriminately. And at this time, a dozen crows suddenly swooped down from the sky. These crows are very annoying, and they specially pounce on the faces of the soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe, leaving them no time to worry about other things. They can only keep driving them away. In the midst of this chaos, several hellhounds involved had rushed into the crowd and bit them wantonly. On the other side, in the continuous attempts of 5 or 6 RPG-7 anti-tank rocket launchers, BMP-1 was finally hit by a rocket. Boom. The rocket penetrated the frontal armor of the infantry fighting vehicle in an instant, and the warhead of the hollow charge melted immediately after the explosion to form a metal jet, killing all the occupants of the infantry fighting vehicle almost in the blink of an eye. Then there was another burst of extremely violent martyrdom. The turret was blasted directly into the sky, and countless flames shot out from the gap. Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thank you for the 100 starting point coins rewarded by Memories of Fantasy City and Under the White Moon. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 118. 118 The Victory of the Sheep. Among the group of villagers, 2 stood out in particular. One is Luo Cheng and the other is Wang Ji. Since Luo Cheng was pulled out of his stupid youth by Chen Yuyan and let him taste the taste of killing, his whole person seemed to have transformed. Ha 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 ha. His eyes were red, and he set up an M249 squad machine gun on a low wall and fired wildly. He didn't care where the bullet hit, just kept laughing wildly, and kept pulling the trigger. Wang Ji took the M72E rocket launcher and fired several rockets in a row. he was the one who fired the rocket that hit the BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle just now. Compared with other villagers, his military literacy is much better, at least he can shoot steadily. If you want to say who beats the hardest on the battlefield, it must include traitors. Because if you become a traitor, there is only one way left to go, that is to send your old club to hell. But now the mood of the group of Helang tribe is completely different. There are mutated crows harassing their heads, hell dogs biting under their feet, and they have to face the insane firepower in Happy Village. Soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe are most equipped with the Scorpion Type I assault rifle, which was a product of Nod more than 20 years ago. At that time, they were the 18th line mining troops under Nod. Naturally, they would not get any good things. Such a BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle is the bottom of the box. It has been repaired again and again for decades, and I can't bear it. Throw away. Therefore, although the Black Wolf tribe has more people and better quality soldiers, the firepower of the two sides is a whole level behind. Die me. Die. Chi Weiwei roared, the six-barreled machine gun in his left hand let out a roar, and the long tongue of fire spewed out like a fire dragon, and countless bullets poured in, completely destroying the front of the house. It was smashed to pieces, and the few villagers of Xingfu village who were hiding in the house were shot into a pulp by countless bullets before they could even scream. But none of these can save the Helang tribe from defeat. On the other side of Xingfu village, Genyu, the village chief, is sitting in front of a truck full of various weapons. Two trusted villagers stand on both sides of the truck. Those villagers stretched their necks one by one to see the battle at the entrance of the village, and some villagers who made up their minds only need to go to Genyu's side and say, Genyu will immediately give them weapons and let them go to the front join the fight. But after all, it was too far away, and they couldn't see anything except the gunshots like fried beans and the continuous explosions. Genyu was calm. He held a cigarette in his hand, took a sip from time to taste it, but he didn't light it. At this time, a villager ran back with a smoking RPG-7 anti-tank rocket launcher. He looked at Genyu and shouted loudly, "Ammunition! Give me ammunition! Quick! Chi Wei is running away. It will be too late." What? Chi Wei was beaten away? There was an uproar among the villagers. The Black Wolf tribe and Chi Wei have been the nightmare of the people in Xingfu village for decades. They are strong and cruel, and they take whatever they want in the village, but no one dares to resist. For a long time, under the oppression of the Black Wolf tribe, even the biggest dream of young people in the village has become to be able to join the Black Wolf tribe. But now, someone came to tell them that the Black Wolf tribe had been beaten away. Or were we beaten away by ourselves? All villagers feel like they are in a dream. But the villager who ran back didn't care about this. He muttered that he must hit a car this time, and then he took 4 or 5 rockets from Genyu's side and put them in his back basket. Then he ran towards the entrance of the village. Village head, give me one?" An old man in his 50s tentatively stepped out and said, "When I was still fighting, I ran errands for the Brotherhood and saw them shoot." Genyu was straightforward, took a Scorpion I assault rifle and threw it away, and said, "Brother Yan said, you are going to the battlefield now, don't run too close, just sweep from a distance, the bullets will kill you. There are plenty." A pickup truck tried to turn around and escape amid the continuous explosions. A soldier from the Black Wolf tribe in the car was constantly shooting indiscriminately with a 12.7 mm caliber heavy machine gun mounted on the car. That is to say, the firepower of the villagers on the other side is completely inaccurate, and the lethality depends entirely on the range of the explosion. Otherwise, it is impossible for this person to stand on the car and survive until now. But his luck also ran out. In the midst of the gunpowder smoke, several tentacles shot out suddenly, piercing through his chest in an instant, dragging him down. All I saw was the tracker lying on the ground covered in bruises, dragging the soldier in front of him at once, and swallowing him in the big mouth formed by the mutation of his chest and ribs. Not only that, the tentacles on its body kept shaking, dragging some surrounding corpses over and eating them in one bite. It mainly ate those Cerberus corpses rich in T-virus. Some mutated tissues began to accumulate on the tracker, and it started to mutate again. On the other side of the battlefield, the Black Wolf tribe is close to collapse. The BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle has been destroyed, and more than 20 vehicles they drove over are crowded at the entrance of the village. The first 7 or 8 vehicles have been destroyed, all the cars behind were blocked. At least half of the soldiers who got out of the car and rushed up were wiped out by the continuous explosive fire, but most of them were not killed, but fell to the ground injured. The few remaining hellhounds were constantly biting the wounded, and their shrill screams constantly stimulated the nerves of the survivors. "Boss! No way! If you don't escape, you won't be able to escape!" a soldier shouted at Chi Wei in panic. Boom! Chi Wei swung the hot 6-barreled machine gun and threw the man flying. His chest was sunken and he was dying. He roared loudly, "Fleeing from you! It's just a group of mud legs! It's just a group of mud legs! Do you think you dare to fight us with a few rocket launchers? Dreaming! I'm going to kill them!" Boom! Before he finished speaking, a high explosive bullet exploded near him, and the flying debris hit him with pain. After venting his anger, Chi Wei finally understood that if he didn't run away, he would confess here. He turned his head and left without hesitation, and said loudly, "Let's go. Get out. There must be someone behind this Chinyan. Next time, I will drive a tank over here." As soon as they heard the order to retreat, the soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe, who wanted to run for a long time but did not dare to carry it out because of Chi Wei's long-standing arrogance, immediately rushed towards the pickup truck that drove over, fearing that Chi Wei would repent. Seeing the soldiers of the Helang tribe running away in disorder, the villagers who were also red-eyed rushed out roaring, and kept shooting while chasing them. However, what greeted them was a burst of dense bullets. Immediately, 5 or 6 villagers were hit by bullets and fell in a pool of blood. No matter how miserable those soldiers were, at least they knew that they shot their guns in the back when they fled in a car. After a few villagers in Xingfu village fell down, they realized that no matter what they said, they were just a flock of sheep, and they didn't have the ability to confront the Black Wolf tribe face to face. The flames of war gradually subsided, and Chi Wei brought over 150 people, more than 20 pickups and 1 BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle. And those who can go back are only 10 pickup trucks and 70 to 80 people crowded on them. The fully armed sheep finally defeated the pack of wolves. Task 1, incorporate Xingfu village into protection, complete. Task reward, Tiberium crystal 5,000 kilograms, which has been stored in the Infinite Base warehouse. Thanks to Hanfeng Zhen Datang for the reward of 10,000 starting coins. Thank you for the 1,000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thank you for the 500 starting coins rewarded by Sakura Wyume. Thank you for the 100 starting point coins rewarded by Memories of Fantasy City Under the White Moon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 119. 119 Range Expansion. Chen was taken aback by the system's prompt, "The task is completed." However, he immediately saw the villagers holding weapons in a daze, and suddenly realized. After he forcibly pulled Xingfu village into the chariot against the Black Wolf tribe, the villagers in Xingfu village had no choice but to be loyal to him. Of course, this kind of allegiance is extremely unstable. If there is another strong enemy, maybe these villagers will abandon him in a few minutes. But how to make them truly identify with themselves and completely control the hearts of these people is a long-term job, and Chen also has the ability and capital to do it. We won? We won the battle against the Black Wolf tribe. Some villagers muttered to themselves as they looked at the smoky battlefield in front of them in disbelief. With Luo Chen next to him, he first felt like a dream, and then felt a burst of ecstasy. He jumped onto the wreckage of a pickup truck and roared loudly, "Ha ha ha ha! Did you see it? Did you see it? I said it a long time ago. I said it a long time ago. Follow Chun, follow brother Yan. Black the Wolf tribe is a pile of scum. See that? Ha 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 ha. It's not your turn here. Get off." Wang Ji kicked Luo Cheng off from the side, and then respectfully made a gesture of invitation to Chen Yuyan. "Hey, brother Yan, look, say a few words." Chen Yuyan didn't care. He jumped on the pickup truck and said lightly, "I said I would protect you. But my protection is not to help you solve your problems, but to give you strength to solve your own problems. Chi Wei, he's not dead yet, we can't rest yet, in 2 days, let's take his lair away." He spoke flatly, and he didn't taking away the Black Wolf tribe's nest at all. And after this battle, all the villagers believed in it. Afterwards, they began to clean up the battlefield, and some soldiers of the Black Wolf tribe had turned into zombies. Fortunately, Chen Yuyan let the villagers who knew how to use guns use those zombies as targets. And about 20 more soldiers were wounded by the explosion and fell to the ground moaning. Chen Yuyan asked the villagers to identify some of these soldiers. Those who had been bitten by hell dogs or crows were directly shot to death. Prisoner of war. In this battle, 5 villagers in Xingfu village also died and more than 10 were injured. They were all handed over to the village chief Genyu for arrangement. Just when Chen Yuyan was planning to make arrangements here as soon as possible so that he could go back to the infinite base to use up the rewarded 5 tons of tiberium crystals and upgrade the manufacturing center to level 2, the system suddenly sounded. The Xingfu village has been included in the control, and the control range of the infinite base has been expanded. Now buildings can be built within the scope of the Xingfu village, and the collection function of the infinite base can also be used within this range. This can solve the urgent need. Chen Yuyan was overjoyed, and asked in his mind, that is to say, as long as I control more areas, the buildings of the infinite base can be built there? The control of the infinite base has arranged the current control range of the level 1 manufacturing center is an area with a diameter of 5 kilometers. The straight line distance from Xingfu village to the infinite base is 2 kilometers, so after being brought into control, it is also within the control range of the infinite base. Chen Yuyan immediately understood, but it turns out that although it takes a lot of winding roads to reach the infinite base from Xingfu village, is it actually only 2 kilometers in a straight line? In this way, if the ruins blocking the road are cleared away, it will be possible to travel between the two places faster. But obviously, since there is a huge sum of 5 tons of tiberium crystals in the account, it is natural to use it immediately. Chen Yuyan immediately spent 1.5 tons of tiberium crystals to start researching mutant bat technology. Mutated bats are actually similar to mutated crows, they are B.O.Ws with no IQ, no fighting power, and useless except for harassment, but one of them is good at night action, and the other is good at day action. In fact, from the information attached to these technology tree materials, it can be seen that James Marcus, one of the directors of Umbrella Company and the founder of T-Virus, planned to make these two flying BOW huge numbers overwhelm each other. But in the experiment, it was found that B.O.W had caused great damage to the brain during the mutation process. With such a mutation, bats and crows directly became fools with little instinct left, and could only be regarded as failed products. In fact, this is why in the battle for Raccoon City, the real core thing is the B.O.W actual combat data stored in the database of U.M.F-013 Red Queen. Because without these data, the research and development of B.O.W can only be done like a blind cat hitting a dead mouse. Then Chen Yuyan handed over the work to Genyu, asking him to clean up the people in Xingfu village, and divide those who can barely fight with guns and those who can only continue to do farm work. And told him that the villagers who serve as soldiers do not need to leave the village, but will continue to stay in Xingfu village, and will only go out when there are combat missions. Moreover, every soldier can eat some meat regularly. Chen Yuyan has already noticed that most of the daily diet in Xingfu village is vegetarian, and there is no meat. Think about it too, in this world where tiberium crystals are flooding, keeping meat animals in captivity is indeed a luxury. But he doesn't care, the big deal is to go back to the world of Resident Evil, and then directly purchase more than 10 tons of meat. Gan Yu is considered a talent, at least he has the ability to manage this village that was poisoned by the Black Wolf tribe in an orderly manner. I believe that with Chen Yuyan giving him more resources, he can do better. Luo Cheng is actually a dumbass, and lacks a brain, but sometimes Chen Yuyan just needs someone like him to rush to the forefront and set an example for other numb villagers. As for Wang Ji, just be a dog. When Gan Yu went to work on himself, Chen Yuyan came to the battlefield just now, looked at the wreckage of a pickup truck that was burning, and said to himself, "Start collecting." A blue light flashed across, and the pickup truck gradually disappeared, and within a few seconds it was turned into resources and stored in the infinite base. The wreckage of cars and corpses on the ground have become the objects of Chen Yuyan's collection. Metals and biomass are also increasing, especially biomass. You know, there are now 70 to 80 corpses here. On average, there are at least 4 or 5 tons of biomass, so how many hell dogs can be built? Seeing Chen Yuyan's sci-fi collection of resources, those villagers just felt more in awe, thinking that he really possessed unknown super technology, but they didn't think much about it. At this time, the tracker also ended the mutation and stood up again. This time, seeing the tracker, the villagers did not panic as before. After knowing that this was Chen Yuyan's pet, they actually accepted it. Set up. Of course, no one dared to approach the tracker within a radius of 10 meters. The variation of the tracker this time is not big, but it can be seen that many cuticles have been added to the surface of its body, which is very hard and should be able to directly bounce off the attack of ordinary bullets. This is also the evolution of the tracker with the battlefield environment it encounters. It took 2 or 3 hours to clean up the battlefield here. All the car wreckage and the bodies of soldiers from the Black Wolf tribe had disappeared, not even the blood-stained dirt on the ground. The entrance of Xingfu village is clean as if nothing happened. During this period of time, Chen Yuyan had finished developing the mutant bat technology, and he spent 4.5 tons of tiberium crystals again to start developing the liquor technology. As long as the liquor technology is developed, he will have 5 first-level technologies. In other words, he will be able to build 5 different first-level buildings to upgrade the manufacturing center. In the secondary manufacturing center, in addition to the research and development of more advanced technology, Chen Yuyan's 2 most desired products are also in it: the primary electromagnetic gun and the M4101 pulse rifle. Thanks to Su Koran for the reward of 2,000 starting coins. Thanks for the 500 starting point coins rewarded by the Wandering Phoenix. Thanks to Gaimei for the reward of 100 starting coins. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 120. 120 Return to the world of Resident Evil. After building a production line of mutated bats and a production line of hell dogs in Xingfu village, Chen Yuyan set off to return to the Infinite Base. Now he needs to make a good plan, how to capture the base of the Black Wolf tribe. This time is different from passive defense, it needs to attack actively. The villagers of Xingfu village are obviously not qualified for this task, but they must fight, and they must fight with the villagers. Before the main battle arms appeared in the Infinite Base, this base was also a super factory, and he had to recruit his own army to use the products in this factory. As his first force, Xingfu village must sharpen the teeth of this group of sheep. So, after upgrading the Infinite Base to level 2, research the hunter technology, and then let the thick-skinned hunter alpha be a meat shield? No, tiberium crystals can't make up so many in a short time. A liquor technology requires 4.5 tons of crystals, not to mention the hunter and advanced T-virus research technology. Chen Yuyan began to think about various plans, but at this moment, a message suddenly came from the system. Experimenter Zhang Zhenbo paid 3,500 points to enter the world of Resident Evil for 7 days. Time begins to flow in the world of Resident Evil, and the time is 7 days. Someone has entered the world of Resident Evil. Chen Yuyan was shocked, and the system will announce the person's name and entry time. It seems that this is an obvious plan to let them, the experimenters who are bound to the world of Resident Evil, kill each other until one of them dominates the entire world. Thinking of this, Chen Yuyan suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Yes. Isn't there still a Resident Evil world? Since you can't find the answer in this world, then go to the world of Resident Evil. After checking, Liquor still has more than 2 hours of technology research and development, so he is no longer polite, and immediately said to the system in his mind, "System, I also pay 3,500 points to enter the world of Resident Evil for 7 days. The request is received. The experimenter Chen Yuyan pays 3,500 points to enter the world of Resident Evil for 7 days, and the message will be broadcast to all experimenters who are bound to this world." A dazzling white light filled Chen Yuyan's entire field of vision. When he got used to the sight in front of him, he found that he was still in the luxurious hotel where he lived with the four-eyed girl before, and he still kept hugging her. Four-eyed pose. However, the expression of the four eyes is very strange now. Her slightly slender eyes are full of doubts. You just disappeared for a few seconds, and then came back after changing clothes? As she said that, her eyes suddenly froze, and she slapped Chen Yuyan's salty pig's hand away from her waist, and said coldly, and in an instant, she became in a state of not taking a bath for a few days. I just want to say, before Chen Yuyan finished speaking, his head was covered by a towel, and there was still a wisp of fragrance on it. Go and take a shower before coming back. Four Eyes said coldly. Generally speaking, in this situation, Chen Yuyan is kind and kind. His experience tells him that a woman in this state generally thinks that you owe her money, and it is billions of dollars, so work hard to pay her the bill that should be settled. Just be honest. In the world of Command and Conquer before, Chen Yuyan was really suffocated. He was surrounded by ferocious and terrifying B.O.Ws or those quasi-barbarians from the Black Wolf tribe. He also missed this normal world of life. After washing himself clean, Chen Yuyan walked into the kitchen and picked up the petite girl who was almost a head shorter than him, and went to the bedroom to calculate the debt and prepare to pay the bill. After the two of them broke free from the ocean of academics exhaustedly, Chen Yuyan said to Four Eyes, "Call all the members of the Wolf Pack team, and find a place to gather together. I have something to announce to everyone." "What exactly did you experience in those few seconds when you disappeared?" asked with Four Eyes frowning. "So, although I just disappeared in front of you for a few seconds, I have actually been in a different world for about 3 days." Chen Yuyan sat opposite to each other on a private yacht in the Mediterranean Sea. The Wolf Pack squad together explained. This yacht was bought by Hank out of his wallet. Although he usually looks serious, in fact he is definitely the richest in the Wolf Pack team. Because he can complete the most dangerous tasks every time, he naturally gets the most bonuses from Umbrella Company. In other words, you are actually from another world? Looper sat on the railing of the yacht. She was wearing a very conservative gray swimsuit, but the well-trained muscles on her body were still outlined by the swimsuit. "I don't know, I thought she was just an ordinary-looking fitness trainer." Chen Yuyan said very seriously, "To be precise, we are in one of thousands of worlds. And these worlds, in a sense, are all interconnected. This so what Laplace multidimensional universe calculation system is very special. Not only does it not have the exchange function of the infinite stream of main gods that Chen has read in the book, but it seems that it does not mind at all that its existence is known by those plot characters. In fact, Chen also understands that the existence of leaking the system has no effect on the system at all, and for the experimenter, the risk comes from this sentence itself. If you don't know how to speak, then there is a high probability that the result of speaking like this will be sending yourself to a mental hospital. He looked at the members of the wolf pack team sitting in a circle, and continued, and what I want to say is that the world I live in is called Command and Conquer, and it is a world full of wars. He also briefly talked about the war between GDI and Nod. Of course, he can only talk about it roughly because he doesn't know the details. And the technology in that world is far higher than our current world, and it is also much more chaotic. It is a world full of wars, and it is most suitable for those of us who know nothing but killing people. Because killing people in that world earns more than commission, killing people in that world gives you a chance to become king. Chen said. Hank put his hands on his chest, shook his head and said, if it is really as you said, it is a war between two superpowers that are several times the strength of the United States now, the power of the few of us thrown in may even cause a splash. Don't get up. Of course not to work for GDI and Nod. Chen also shook his head and said, I have been sleeping in that world for more than 30 years, and I have forgotten many things. But after I woke up, I had an experimental base. This base may have alien technology, it can. As he spoke, Chen spread his hand, and he took out a Scorpion I assault rifle from his personal space, and it appeared in his hand in an instant, and then said very mysteriously, you can use any technological product we get, copy it out. You mean, you want to use this experimental base to build your own country in that world? Looper asked. That's right, during the few days I left, I occupied a village of 3,400 people, and used Umbrella's technology to form a rudimentary B.O.W army. Well, the tracker, I also bring it over. Chen said. Sounds interesting. Hank expressed his interest. Ha 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 ha. You mean I have a chance to take a group of tyrants to war? Ha 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 ha. Beltway laughed loudly. Where Hank goes, I will go. Victor said lightly, since just now he has been standing behind Hank, like a bodyguard. What's going on over there? We'll have to go and see, Bertha said darkly. I also agreed to take a look first and then decide. Ghost said. The space-time channel is not stable right now, you can't go for too long, there is only one day at most at a time. So, on this basis, I still need you to help me find what I want in this world. Chen then, he looked at Looper and asked, by the way, what do you think? Wolf Mother. Looper smiled and said, I won't go to that world. I'll be here to support you. This book is still in its seedling stage and needs nourishment. I hope everyone will vote more and promote it. Favorites and recommendations are the driving force for me to keep moving forward. Thank you all.